What's going on, guys? I'm out here tonight doing an overnight, just kind of enjoying the cool weather that we finally have for once after a very long hot summer. I'm sure it was where you are, if it was where I'm at here in the Midwest. But while sitting out here just enjoying the night and the peace and quiet, I got to thinking that there's a part of me that I haven't shared with you guys that I feel is really important to, and I felt called to through the example of Brother Robert Carter and on his channel and a video he put up the other day. But I want to talk to you guys about my testimony and about my faith and my relationship with God and what that looks like in my life and how I've got where I am. So as a young man, I grew up in church. My great-grandfather, who is like Superman to me, World War II veteran, he was the pastor from the time that I was born in the church that we were a part of. And then my father was an ordained minister, and he took over the church once my grandfather passed away. And long story short, I grew up in a good Christian home with good structure, good morals, but I didn't have a lot of good guidance on life outside of the church, or not, should I say outside of church, or outside my home, outside my family. And you guys know how it is when you get used to hearing the same noise and the same voices from the same people all your life. As long as you can remember, it doesn't mean as much. And it kind of gets to a point, especially when you're a teenager, it starts to fall on deaf ears a little bit. Well, I had a lot of head knowledge, but not a lot of heart knowledge. And I'll tell you what, once I started going through some trials and tribulations in my life, and the death of some close family members, and watching some of them take their last breath, and in an end-of-life care type situation, that, I think, it impacted me a lot more as a young man than I ever really realized that it did. And I internalized a lot of that stuff. Well, finally one day when I was probably, I'd say 16 years old, 15 or 16, I was at a camp, at a kids' church camp, same camp, ironically, that I grew up going to. And I was asked to come help for the week. And after watching how those kids, as incredible as it was, respond to the gospel, it made me realize that I didn't have the same joy and happiness in my heart that those kids had. And they're just little kids. And I'm, in high school. And that really impacted me. And that night I ran into Jesus face to face, and kind of forced me to come to terms with the fact that I didn't have the joy of Christ in my heart, and I didn't know him like I thought I did. I had the head knowledge, not the heart knowledge. And that was the beginning of my road. I wept and sobbed that night more than I had in a very long time, or had since. And ever since then, my life has been profoundly better in a way and I've been blessed in ways that I can't even describe. But it didn't end there. And I later on into my early adult years, about the time I was 18 or so, getting out of school, and I really struggled with pornography, and it really had its grip on me, something horrible. And that followed me all the way into my marriage. I got married at 19 years old, and whenever my wife finally found out about it, it caused a lot of strife and turmoil in my marriage, and it almost destroyed my marriage. A lot of trust issues, a lot of damaged hearts and trust and emotions that took a long time to heal back. And that was my fault, and no one to blame but me. And So my wife and I had a lot of struggles between that and the military, having children young. We were only married for maybe a year and a half so before we got pregnant with our daughter, our firstborn. And so we experienced a lot in our marriage young, and that really forced me. What it did is all that forced me to grow closer to God. It didn't force me away from Him; it pushed me near Him. And the grace that Jesus gave and to me, and who gives to all of us, including you, if you believe in Him, the forgiveness of sins, and because we're all sinners, not one of us isn't. And I'll tell you what, not one of us is getting off this earth alive either. I hate to break it to you, but the only way to heaven, and the only way to that kind of joy and happiness is through Jesus Christ. It's nothing to do with me. I'm not special. But I found Him, and He has blessed me by believing in Him and having faith and putting my trust in Him, raising my kids that way. My wife and I, worshiping Him together, and going to church and raising our kids in church and living our lives, trying to live our lives anyway, the best we can. I struggle with stuff every day. In a way that's pleasing to Him. He's blessed me and us and our marriage and our children, and in ways that it's overwhelming. It really is. So that's kind of what I wanted to tell you guys about, and he's the reason for everything good that's happened in my life, and the success of this channel, the health of my kids and my wife and myself, and my loved ones, and just the abundant blessings that He's given. I don't deserve any of them. None of us do. That's why we need His grace and His forgiveness that we get from His death, that our redemption of sins and that we committed, and the terrible people that we all are, that can only be done because He died on the cross and took those sins for us and that punishment. But we got to believe in Him and ask forgiveness from Him and repent daily. And if you guys do that, if you haven't already, if you do that, I promise you, your life will change in ways that you wouldn't even expect, for the better. So anyway, that's all I wanted to talk to you guys about. I wanted to get that in the air, and YouTube might throttle this and make it where people can't see it, but the message needed to be said, and you guys needed to know that part of me, so I had no problem sharing it. I'm not going to ask you guys to like and subscribe to this video. If you want to, that's totally up to you. So anyway, I just want to share that with you guys, and enjoy a little talk here around the campfire, and hope you guys have a blessed season, and hope to catch you guys back around here on the next time. But you guys take care, get outside.